What's up, y'all? The crew is back for another episode of The Floor is Yours this wonderful Sunday. So come on in, go on, share the show. Start off with drop the intro so we can kick this thing off. I ain't gonna tell y'all, but he put in the script Happy New Year, but it ain't New Year. But come on, Gerard, let's go.
They the boys who podcast, who want the smoke. Coming raw and uncut like who want the dope. Whatever you want, they for sure to cover the topic. From racial issues to fashion flies and cockpit. Y'all ain't never get it like this, cause they ain't never did it like this. We on our this the way the cookie crumbles for y'all. She gon' bring the inspiration to all. You know what's up with her. And this shit manifesting is a vision. And y'all gon' love TJ cause he the realest. From the heart of them all, they the start of it all. You looking for a holler and holler at the rug. The professor, another lesson coming at you with the lessons. Get your edge if you knowin' what's good for you. They educated, but they still keep it hood for you. Won't need another, this one here really do it for you. Baby, you need a version. Yeah, baby, I need a version. Baby, come down to the version. Let me show you how to the version.
Yes, David J. You better say yes. Listen, I've been missing you over here jamming to the intro.
It's been a minute. I'm glad to be back with my people.
It's so good to see your beautiful face.
Likewise, sis.
Yes. So we here. We got two cute people here. Then we got two more people here. How y'all doing?
Yeah. Hey, y'all other people.
No, he didn't rub his eyebrows. There it is. So again, welcome crew, welcome audience. Glad to have y'all here. I already said this, but just in case you was a little late tuning in, share the show. If you one of people with 12 pages, share it to all 12 of them. We want to reach all the people on all your pages. Share it everywhere, okay? And then if you know somebody that ain't got Facebook, it's okay. Send them over to YouTube so they can watch us on YouTube. And then connect with us on LinkedIn, TikTok, all that good stuff, and talk to us, okay? So happy Black History Month. We at the end of the month, but I hope y'all celebrate it all month. And stop just celebrating in February. He'll celebrate all year long. Black history all the time. I'm here for it.
Hey, Cookie, I'm waiting on that leap year so we can do 366 days.
Get that extra day in there? Yes.
366 days.
Yes. So this is our first and only show of Black History Month for the Love and Relationship show. But we finna give it to y'all like we always do. I'm gonna give it on over to you, Miss Debbie J, so you can take us in this thing.
Yeah, thank you. Like she said, happy Black History. This is our last Sunday of this month, y'all. Oh, it's gonna be the first of the month trying to get paid. Hey. So, like Miss Cookie said, please go to all our platforms. We got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok. Make sure you go hit us up, subscribe, ring some bells, add your friends, do watch parties, everything. We're trying to continue to bring you good content. We want y'all to be a part of it. Make sure when you come in, you tell us where you're watching from. We want to speak to you. We want to get to know our people that's supporting us. And we want to thank everyone that comes in and comments, because we're going to be reading your comments throughout the show. So make sure you're commenting any questions you may have, because we love to interact with you as well. So, hey, the more you interact with us, the better the content becomes. But like she said, hey, we got a great show for y'all tonight. Our very own King James and brought forth this topic. He's going to jump in it here in just a minute and explain what led to this topic. But we're going to talk about breakups. Breakups are difficult. Is if the parties are married, have kids, property, or other assets together, it can get very messy. So, with that being said, there should be a level of maturity that guides individuals through breakups. So, King James called it Breakup 101. So, hey, this is going to be a good show. So, we're going to let him talk about it for a few minutes and tell us what influenced this topic and why.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, so I think everybody been kind of keeping up with the media and what's going on with Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, right? Some people find it entertaining. Honestly, I think it's a little sad and pathetic when you think about the family and the people involved and, you know, like all the mixed feelings and sentiments towards the situation. But when they first kind of broke up, I thought it seemed like they was getting along. Everything was cool. You know, he was in a different relationship. It seemed like she was kind of chilling a little bit. He was with somebody first, and it seemed like they were supporting each other. She was showing up to his events, and, you know, it seemed like they were co-parenting very well, and the split was going, what's the word, amicably? Did I say it right? I think I got it. I ain't gonna do it again. Hey, that's okay. But and then, you know, it kind of started getting a little different when, you know, like, oh, he bought the house next door. Well, you know, hey, maybe he just want to be close to his kids because that's gonna help them co-parent better. But then it kind of started getting weirder and weirder to the point that it's at now. You know, where it's like a lot of drama, a lot of BS, putting on blast, cease and desist, the social media, this, and I feel like, me personally, I feel like some people say, well, he's fighting for his family. Me, I feel like it's a form of manipulation and control. He's trying to control the narrative and influence people to think the way that he wants to think when he doesn't have the ability to control it with her directly. So that's what kind of led to me saying, like, hey, let's talk about what are the rules when breaking up. Now, specifically, when one person is over the relationship and the other person isn't. I think that's a good thing to take into perspective. Go ahead.
Before you go to the rules, man, what makes you think that he was being manipulative?
Well, I think when he wants a certain thing he doesn't get, he puts her on blast to try to control the narrative. And if she doesn't directly, she's not letting me do that, blah, 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 blah. He's pushing the narrative in the media to get what he wants. Like, if he's drama and this and that, and she didn't want him at the birthday party, my thing would be throw your own birthday party. She won't let me go to my daughter's birthday party. Dude, you are a billionaire. You can throw 20 birthday parties in one day if you want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like he's acting like he's a victim when she doesn't have to let him be around her if she's not comfortable with him. But he's trying to make it seem like it's about his daughter, but he's really making it about him, in my opinion. So I feel like it's a form of gaslighting when somebody tries to act like the situation isn't what it is and like, no, I'm not crazy, you're crazy and you're wrong. And then it's like so many Kanye stans that are just going along with it. I even saw one said, everybody think Kanye the problem when Kim the one on her third divorce. So what? She's not obligated to stay with somebody she doesn't want to stay with. So audience, panel, for the purposes of this conversation, this is what we want to focus on. When one person is over the relationship and the other person isn't, and also let's keep this in the perspective. It's always on a case-by-case basis. So when we're asking questions and presenting topics, I just want you guys to have an open mind to what's your general sentiment on each thing that we address. Now, we already accept the fact that every situation is different. So just in your personal opinion, in general. So just to kind of keep the conversation compact. There we go.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Me personally, I think like just exactly like you said, he's trying to control the situation because he's not getting what he wants. A lot of millionaires are like that. They don't get what they want. They're gonna act out. Unfortunately, we got grown people acting out. So yeah, I feel like that is the same. Like you could have had your own party. If y'all at the point right now that you cannot get along and be together at the baby's party, have a separate one. Hopefully down the line by the next year we can have it together. But once you get out your feelings and start thinking about the kids, then we can come together. That's the thing. No one's trying to put the kids first. Everybody's want to be about themselves and selfish, and that's what made that situation with them more than what it should be. Plus, they shouldn't be doing it in public either. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start with some rules. I'll throw out a rule, and I want to know what y'all think, and then I want everybody to kind of come up with what they feel like their own rule, and everybody watching, chime in with your rules. We'll jump in on your stuff too. So let's go with. Let me think. Rule number 1. I feel that to me, one of the most important things in a breakup, rule number 1 is space and distance. I think it's important to not try to pretend like everything is the way that it was before the breakup, because that'll cause issues. I think that an ample amount of space and distance is healthy and necessary to help with the breakup. And I feel that the only circumstance is when there are kids involved. And I think that the interaction should be solely focused on the children and not someone trying to use the children as a way to be around the person that they're not supposed to be around with. So, Misha, you've been quiet. I don't like you when you're quiet. So I want to know what you think about I want to know what you think about my rule number 1.
Well, there's so much even from the beginning, and I didn't chime in on that. This is just just them period, or just situations like that period are difficult, because when you've got people that already have mental issues, no family structure, no mother, no father, they already knew what they were getting. She knew what Kanye was dealing with. The world has already seen what this man is. I'm gonna try to not to just say directly to him. We actually see as people, when we get in the relationship with people, we see signs and things that people are going through, and we still take the opportunity to move forward with it.
Yeah.
And so with that, the spiral that he's going on, I will say there is control and manipulation. I feel like it's both ways. We're only seeing his public display of it because right now that's the only outlet he has. Both of them have attention across social media. Okay, that's that.
Yeah.
The second part you asked was about the boundaries, the breakup. When children aren't involved, then you do have to set boundaries of space in between. Yeah. I can agree with that because I've dealt with it myself, because sometimes we still want to have that open door of, sometimes it's not a bad breakup. It's just that we don't meet each other where we need to. And so we still try to be more so cordial and friends, right? When there are children involved, it gives it a little bit more of a harder issue, because you have children that are coming from a household where they had both parents from day one. And so now you get to see, how do you dissect, or who's going to step in? I don't see the mama or the sisters trying to say, hey, I'll be the mediator to say, I'll get the kids where Kim doesn't have to be in contact with you. But like I said, we don't know everything. We kind of know just what's been put out there and what's portrayed. So my thing is, you do need space and time. When children involved, you're probably going to have to get a mediator. That's even before the courts get involved, because of course that takes a little bit of time. But somebody has to be mature enough and responsible enough to say that this is what's going on. So how do we keep it where the children are able to still have both parents, even if they can't collectively be in the same room together?
Yeah.
I just don't understand how we go from loving each other, having kids, building a life together, to absolutely hating each other guts and not even necessarily wanting bad for each other, but shedding each other in a bad light. That's what I just can't wrap my head around. Because me personally, if I loved you, I dedicated my life and bore children to you. Listen, I gotta put the kids first. I can't understand no other way.
But the thing about it is, what we have to realize in life, everybody thinks differently. I'm not going to think like you, Debbie. I'm not going to think like Gerard, Cookie, or James. Even when we're on the show, we may not all come in, agree on everything, but we respect what each other
the
has
respect.
To say. Yes. So we're not going to always think alike. And I may do something crazy. Somebody be like, girl, and then I'm gonna have a whole team over here that's gonna be cheering me on. I may like don't shake your button like these whatever Meg Thee Stallion, because it's disrespectful. Somebody else think it's the baddest thing to do. It's just that people's mindsets are totally different. The way we were groomed to think about things. Now, some of us are more mature enough to say, you know what, it is about the child, because that person is attached to my child. I don't want any ill will towards my child's father or my child's mother, simply because we have to cohabitate in being parents. But when we have to, once we've had shows before, when we get emotionally involved in stuff and the emotions and the mind take over, that's when we don't have any line of communication.
Yeah, and I think you're right. That's where the challenge is there when you talk about how do we go from loving each other and being committed. It's we let the emotions take over, and I saw this article the other day that talked about us being a narcissistic nation. Not saying that everybody's a narcissist, but the principles or the traits, if you will, it makes us more important. That what we got going on is more important than anybody else. So you take that mindset to relationships. And it's like what I want in this relationship rank supreme. And if you don't want to be with me, I'm finna fight and fight and fight and make life miserable, which is ridiculous, because if you're trying to make me convince me to take you back, why are you making life difficult for me? Right.
Yeah.
And using the kids as a tool to control and govern how much time I'm spending with you or interacting with you. I think
So, and I
that's
see it from a different standpoint. Like, I know you saying like somebody that I loved and that I wanted to be with and all of that. In the beginning, we had kids together. I got to respect you enough to maintain that. But sometimes you love a person in the beginning and you want to be with them and all that stuff is good and going great. But then they show you that other side of them.
Yeah.
And in order to protect your kids or protect your peace, or protect what's going on, you have to disconnect from that, because sometimes people will use kids as a pawn and as a way to manipulate situations, especially when I guess it's like all in the public and stuff like that that's going on. And so like I've seen it. I've seen it happen on multiple occasions where people are doing stuff and then being like, oh, I just want to be around my kids or I want to see my kids, when really you really just trying to stir up some shit. And you come over and you ain't visiting the kids or talking to the kids or nothing else. You there with the alternative purpose. And so you might dead that relationship or dead that contact in order to maintain your space. And I don't feel like that you have to give life into some situations. Right. I feel like you owe enough to yourself to step back sometime, and that's okay.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, step back, reevaluate, get your mind together. But you have to be able to, like that comment said earlier, it says respect each other's wishes and be civil with each other. That was one of our Facebook users. Doesn't have a name on there, but thank you for that comment. It's the fact that, yeah, step back, take your time, reevaluate the situation. Did he hurt you? Yes, he did. Did he disrespect you or she disrespect you? Yes. Okay. So from then on, take your time. Try to get the forgiveness or the closure that you need. Even if you don't get it, be good with yourself and like, hey, it is what it is. It didn't work out between us. This is the father of the children, the mother of the children. All right, I'm just gonna talk strictly business with you. Hey, kids got this. Can you come? If you can't, fine, because I'm not gonna force you to do something.
But what about when you're dealing with that person that can't? Oh, go ahead, James. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying like everybody can't handle that though. And you know, you said earlier, how do you go from loving somebody to hating somebody? To me, it ain't always like that. Sometimes it goes from love to hurt. You know, like I don't think Kanye West hates Kim Kardashian. Like he's constantly confessing his love for her. He's like, I want my family back. I want this. I want that. But it's like his words don't align with his actions because, you know, he's dating these other women. I heard even brought a lookalike to some event that looked like her. And like he, you know, making these diss songs with the new guys he's dating and all that kind of stuff. Like those aren't things that he's doing to make her mad because he hates her. He's doing those things out of hurt. But I think it comes from not knowing how to properly process the hurt.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that right now. Kim and his children are all that he has left. He has no other family.
Yeah.
That's tough. And that's tough to deal with. So you talk about the emotional piece. I get it.
And I'm not saying
But
what he's doing is right. I'm just saying,
absolutely not. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I
like
think
he said, his actions. Like how you say you want your family and you with some other chick though. Like,
yeah.
come on, that's an
Yeah.
oxymoron.
And then she played. I'm talking about. You think I was in love with him? You want the details? Wait till my book come out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She was already building it from the
Well,
inside.
see, the thing
But
about it is it goes both ways. And see, what happens is now we see it from a male perspective, how we get out of control. But truth be told, women been doing this right here, what Kanye doing for a long time.
oh yeah. It's part of it. But so if someone take this one right here, what's the definition of disrespect? And the reason why I think we need to bring it up because I think what some people call disrespect is really not, just because you don't agree with a person or you don't um let them control you, whatever, that doesn't mean that you're disrespectful. So can
I
someone
cut you
take
off.
that?
I cut you off earlier, Cookie. So you go. What is your definition of disrespect?
My definition of disrespect I guess it kind of varies based on the situation because quite honestly, I feel like certain people can't disrespect me no matter what you say, no matter what you do. I don't care about what you're talking about anyway, so I won't feel no way about it. But disrespect comes from a place of when I feel like we have an attachment or a connection, and then you cross some boundary that we both know is in place. Or you go against me in some way that we both know is not okay. So sometimes that may be something verbal, saying something to me or talking to me out the way or calling me out my name or something like that. Sometimes it may be something that's, physical or emotional or something else. But I think that it has to do, we talked about this on the show before. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think some of that has to do with the connection there.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll just say this: a lack of respect is not the same thing as disrespect. I can absolutely not respect the person's actions and what they got going on. That doesn't mean I'm disrespecting you. So just want to add that piece to it. DJ, can you take this one?
Not speaking to one outside of the kids doesn't mean you're disrespecting your ex. It just means you do not want to tolerate the constant emotional roller coaster. Yes, you're taking your time, like I said. Take your time after, evaluate, just deal with them. You know how you can deal with the person. If the situation got ugly, I think we all know the boundary lines that you may have with that person. Just don't cross them. Try not to intentionally cross them. Just tread lightly,
Sometimes you
walk
don't.
on eggshells.
Sometimes you don't know how to deal with the person. I said sometimes you don't know how to deal with the person though, especially when because like it's like you're seeing them in a different light now, and you're seeing them in a different environment, and they're gonna react different than what you're used to seeing them. And honestly, I think that it's like a trial and error situation where you guys are gonna you gotta figure it out as you go along. There's no rules, there's no guidelines necessarily to it because people may act totally different than they did when you was together once you're apart.
Yeah, which is true. I'll just add that I think there are rules, and we talked about this before the show. Just be respectful to people. Like I think if we don't have to be ugly. We can be respect to each other. What we say, Deb, the dignity and respect. I think if we treat everybody with dignity, I think that'll help us navigate those unknowns that James was just talking about. So.
She said, what if the person say they don't understand boundaries? And where you supposed to be with them in the first place? Like, you get these red flags. You get who you're dealing with. I know it doesn't all comes at one time. It doesn't come all at one time, but at some point, you have to understand who you're dealing with. Communication, that's the biggest thing. Okay, let's communicate even after the breakup. I don't like you, you don't like me. Hey, how we finna go forward with this conversation? Do you only want me to call you about the kids if there's an event and you need to know about it? How do you want me to deal with you? If you just want to call when you want to talk to the kids? Like, you still got to communicate. You got yourself in an adult situation. Try your best to be an adult and deal with it in an adult way in a matter of communicating still. I might not like you, but we still got to handle our situation because we was big boys and girls when we did it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And see that's one point that and I've experienced that personally. to where, but I disconnected simply because I wasn't gonna let you yo-yo me. We was big kids when we created a kid, but you're not gonna go in and out. So every 2 or 3 years you pop up and want to be active or stir up some shit. So sometimes you got that's again.
Oh,
My
see,
thing
yeah.
is I step away.
Yeah,
Okay.
see, on that point, yes, you got to protect your kids from keeping someone trying to come in and out their life. That's your job too. So by all
Mm-hmm.
means, boo boo, if you're not going to
Mm-hmm.
be consistent with my child, and I see you want to come back 2 or 3 times, third time it's a wrap. No, you didn't show who you are. Get to know them when you're an adult. When they become an adult, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
Okay, we
James, I
going to
know
the
you
next
had
rule.
yeah. James, did he
Is he
freeze up?
froze? I ain't seen him blink in a long time. Oh,
Oh,
there you
there
go.
you go. Yeah, yeah,
I'm good.
yeah. You good, man.
Oh, my bad. All right. Well, I think we kind of touched on it a little bit, which was like, do kids make it different? So, like, and I think I kind of said it. I think that when another rule is when kids are involved, you should focus the communication on the kids and not not other people. Not the other person or what's going on. And not I think it's also important not to use kids as pawns. I think that there's so many situations where a woman is mad at a dude, so she tries to take it out by not letting him see his kids. Or if it's the opposite, where it's a dude that don't. I also feel that kids shouldn't be anywhere they're not wanted. And so like I don't think it's cool when a dude don't want his kids. So the opposite, somebody try to leave the kids on the porch and drive off, crazy stuff like that. Like I think that you're not putting the best interest of kids first. So I think another rule with breakups is that it's important that we're always making sure that we put the children first.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um,
Definitely.
and we kind of touched on that in the previous discussion, but and again, it could be difficult because now, if you, especially if you got a court order that's talking about the visitation and other things of that nature, right there. Even if you think that the kid doesn't want to be there, or unless you think that the child's safety is in danger, you have to, or you're gonna get yourself in trouble, right?
Yeah. I like this other rule though, where we're talking
Okay.
about the bonds with the family and friends.
Yeah. Okay. Speak on it.
Well, that one, I got stuck between a rock and a hard place with that one. My mother-in-law used to still invite me to everything. I just didn't go out of respect because I knew my ex-husband had a girlfriend. He wasn't bringing her around, but I still was in good with the family. And so I would go to a few, not all, but still pop up and spend like 10, 20 minutes there and then leave out of respect because they still my family, if you ask me. Me and my mother-in-law are just like this, and I haven't been married to that man in over 6 years. But I can still talk to her, call her, and talk to her about any issues or anything that I have going on, and I love that. I don't want to, and he understands that, and he knows. She didn't have to talk with him. It's just I do respect what he has going on, so I'm not going to show up at every function. If I see him and his girl come, hey, I go speak, say hi to everybody, and then leave. But I don't want to break that bond that I have with everybody else.
So real quick before we move on to there, because I
James,
agree with you.
James, you laughing? What you got to say?
Nah. I think that when it comes to relationships are bridges, right? And you got to either build or burn. Sometimes you got to build to keep going forward, or you got to burn it to let it go. And I think that if there's no reason to stay tied or connected to somebody once it's kind of over, like I can understand wanting to be cool and cordial with your kids' grandparents or their aunts or uncles or whatever the case may be, because they're still the family. You know what I'm saying? So, but
Mhm.
when it's like you don't got no ties or nothing like that, I really don't get it. Like, let me give you an example.
Well,
How many of you
what
guys
if you
watch?
build a genuine, what if you build a genuine what if you built a genuine friendship though?
Well, like
It was
I was about to say,
genuine.
how many of you guys watch Insecure or watched it when it was on? I did. I love the show. And if you remember, Lawrence, which was Issa dude, he got cool with all of Issa's friends from college through her. And then it became a situation when he was like, I'm still friends with him, I'm still cool. And then he showed up with his new girl, a new situation, to an event or dinner for her and her friends. I personally wouldn't go to that. I think it's okay to still remain cool and cordial, but if you don't have any necessary ties and it's going to cause an issue with that other person, I don't even want to try to prove that point of like, me and that, nah, we cool, or we fam, or we this, we that. It's not worth it to me. Like, I'd rather burn that bridge than to have some issue with somebody. Because, like, again, we're talking about people who aren't over the relationship. If your ex with somebody and you with somebody, y'all cool, and like y'all all fam bam and it's all good, then cool. But if you know that person gonna have a problem with it, personally, I wouldn't want those issues to come up, and I don't have the energy to try to fight a situation off principle.
Yeah, yeah.
But you don't have to fight if you communicate.
And not only that, James, I think
somebody
James looking
not over you though, and it's a problem. That like, well, you can't show before. You cannot reason with unreasonable people. And so if somebody's in a space where they're not willing to reason or compromise, then you wasting the energy, your time. And I'm not fighting for communication real estate either. So it ain't no amount of talking or explaining that you're gonna do to make that person be okay when they're angry or hurt at you anyway.
But I don't think that's the issue, and let's broaden the scenario. What if it's the mother that still have a relationship with the ex? I can't go and tell my mom like, hey, I ain't with her no more. You need to leave her alone and don't have her around.
No, I agree. But like I agree. You can't tell anybody who to and who not to be friends with. And I'm not saying that. I wouldn't tell anybody in my circle or my family to stay, like, no, don't be their friend, or I'm not doing that. But what I'm talking about is me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out of my way to try to come to the family reunion or the Christmas party or this or the birthday party, even if I do get an invite, because sometimes mama can like you better than she like the new person, and mama might be being a little messy, want you to come back around because she still feel like, I just thought y'all was so good when y'all was together. I don't know why y'all don't work it out. That other girl ain't about nothing, daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't want the drama, especially like if I know that person got an issue with it, then that's not something I want to deal with.
Absolutely. But again, I'm talking specifically about these couples that's been together for years, and parents or in-laws have built a genuine good friendship relationship. I would be selfish if I was like, hey, I ain't with her no more. Mom, you need to, or dad, you need to not let her around.
Well, I can't chime in on that, this 20-year marriages and stuff like that, but because that's a lot of long-term people out there. Mine was short-lived, but that's fine, and that's dandy. Now, I'm able to go to my first ex-husband, but I don't go. But the dynamics there is this: I have a rapport with his wife, so I respect her as his wife. And we still do things, and our children are grown. But when it comes to, hey, they say, come on down here to mama's house because we all gonna get together, and we go down there. There's nothing that about us getting back together, but because we're there for the children in every capacity, then hey, I go. But it ain't over there trying to hook up or nothing. But at the most important part is that I respect her. I respect his wife. I love his wife. Y'all hear me say that all the time. Team Gentry, they my ride or dies. Don't come for him or her, because it's gonna be a problem. Because she's still with my children. She loves my children, and she has been an additive. There are no problems. I ain't gave no problems. We'll never give any, because there aren't any emotional attachments there. It's the same way with my ex-husband now. I don't got no problem with their mother. Hey, I can be cordial. I still love the children, but I don't have to be in that scenario because I don't have children with my ex-husband, but I still loved his children as my own. And if I see them, and they can be with their mama. Now, she may not, want to deal with me, but that's fine too. I don't have to deal with her. I'm dealing with the children because I have a rapport and they're grown, so we don't have to deal with any babies. So it's just all about me. There are no emotional attachments. I'm mature enough to say, hey, no, yes, in between. But I value the fact that if this is who you chose to be with, she loves my children, they ain't getting caught up in no mess, then we good.
Yeah.
But I'm older now. Now, when they were younger.
That speaks to your maturity.
Yeah.
That speaks to your maturity. Can you take this one?
As the old person in the room, What no one has stated is there are soul ties involved, that spiritual aspects cause many heinous acts, heinous acts that are unexplainable to those without a spiritual eye. There are a few who really want to bring God into the decision when it comes to relationships because it causes one to truly be responsible and look at things in that truth.
Yes.
Now, the only way people understand soul ties, and I agree, is if you're in that, if you're in a spiritual mindset. If you are not in a spiritual mindset, that ain't even crossing their mind. Now, if we're gonna talk about people that understand it, I can agree. But someone that's totally off the spectrum of this, of spiritual warfare and attachments when you're laying down with one another, I get it and I agree. Let me say that first, Miss Teresa. I do. Therefore, we really want God into the decision when it comes to relationships. I went that way with my last marriage, right? However, even if we bring spiritual ality into it, we still have choices and decisions that come with being spiritual. Because we can all say um, we all profess that we in Jesus Christ, we going to church and all of that. But certain parts of us take certain parts of the Bible and we stick on that, and then we have an argument on this side. And so here we are saying, oh, God is in the midst of it. Even if God is, we fail to meet what God would have us to do simply because, once again, we operate in our walls that we built up or the teachings that have been given to us. So I thank you for bringing that up, and that's true. And what it'll cause is us to go separate ways when truly people can still, you got people that have divorced that still loved each other, but they failed to meet each other in places that were necessary. And like I said, warfare or spiritual ties, people don't understand that unless they really believe in those things because of their spiritual walk. Because if they don't believe in it, they'll look at us like we crazy. But understanding that I do, I get it.
Yeah.
And then Teresa came back and said all this confusion comes because red flags were seen but ignored.
Correctly, we do. We ignore them because one thing about it, let's go spiritual again. What we do is this: Lord, I know you can change anything. I know that you can do this, but God don't force Himself on us. Jesus don't force Himself on us. We have a choice to decide if we gonna follow His rules, His commandments in the Bible, and if we don't, we got consequences. So my thing is, even if I get attached to this, but going outside the red flags and say, you know what, Lord, I know you can do it. If that person ain't asking the Lord to come in and do no change, or I ain't asking the Lord, guess what? Don't happen. Don't no changes take place, and we just still right here. And then we got to make a decision if we gonna stay together because we love each other, or are we gonna go our separate way because what we have is not nourishing one or the other. Either one is getting depleted and the other one is getting some form of fulfillment. Because 9 times out of 10, women are going to nurture a relationship or try their best to do so, but you do have men that do it as well. But if one or the other is not meeting, guess what happens? We just all over the place. So when you see your red flags, it's your choice to say, I'm gonna go with this thing and see where it's gonna go, or I already know where it's headed, and I'm just gonna have to gracefully buy out. And sometimes we don't want to gracefully buy out because guess what? It make us look like a punk back in the day. It was like, oh, you punking out. Well, whatever. At this particular point of age, I'm just saying.
And then too, some people are taught that no matter what is going on, you stick it out. Like think about, I always go back to them old songs. Don't blame Mr. Charlie. Mr. Charlie just a man. Like, I mean, even coming up from way back then, it was almost taught like you just kind of accept what it is. This is what they do, but you be okay in that moment. And so some people hadn't been taught their value and their self-worth. So then they get into situations where, hell, I see the red flags, but I'm going to stay here because this is comfortable. This is familiar. This is convenient. So I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to sit in this and I'm going to deal with whatever comes with it. So then that's when you get into, I had to keep reminding myself that James said this is when one person ain't over the relationship. So that person that's getting filled that I see is talking about usually is the one that want to stay there because they was getting what they needed out of the relationship. And that one that's getting depleted, you there because it's comfortable and it's familiar. But then when you get ready to check out, you gone, you done with it, and you on about your way and on to something else. And then fulfill person chasing after you like, hey, baby, I need some of that feeling that you was giving me and I want it back. So that's, I mean, I think that it's not that we don't see the red flags, but we look over the red flags for so many reasons
Yeah.
which really ain't the right reason. Like you really gotta tap into you sometimes, and then just be like, screw it, and screw what people think, because people gonna talk. People
Yeah.
gonna have something to say. You damned if you do, you damned if you don't. So
So
people gonna have something to say about it either way.
so Cookie, you talked about the familiar. Can somebody kind of touch on that a little bit? Why is how can the familiar, what's being familiar, be a bad thing?
How can familiar be
Oh,
a bad
Jesus.
thing?
Yeah. Because Cookie was saying that staying with somebody because it's familiar or it's
Um,
safe, like we stated.
well, for me, I'm not. Well, I won't use familiar, but she did. She also used the word. She also used the word comfort. I'm gonna go
Hmm.
with comfort, because sometimes even when you going through those red flags, it's the fact of somewhere they have there's a part of you that they've comforted. So it reminds me of I think I told you about this, Gerard, Linus and the blanket. When he would take that blanket with him because it was something that he just made him comfortable to have that. And so sometimes even in breakups, even if they weren't, they say they weren't meeting you spiritually, but they would check on you, or something like that. Certain other thing, you will try to stay because of that part, but then that ain't really the part that you need. It's the other part that's missing. So you will just stay there because say you may be older in life. You don't want to start over. Some people do that. Some people have children. They want to be there with the baby daddy and the baby mama to make it last forever. Don't do that, because it's not gonna work. Because kids gonna see this, and then of course, if you feel like you ain't nobody gonna want you, then that means you're not valuing yourself to know that life can still go on even if you got to go on by yourself. So those are the things that I don't think I think more of comfort. We get a little bit, we want the comfort of someone being there just to be present, but they really absent.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah,
Okay. Before I move to the next round, I do want to go back to the religious part though. Like I want
Okay.
to touch a little bit on the post that was circulating about the young lady who ended things
Oh,
with her husband. The young lady who ended things with her husband, and then the church got involved and kicked her out of their congregation and gave her tithes back. Like, how do you guys? I want to know each of your opinions, and also the viewers. Please chime in. I want to know your opinions on religious guilt when it comes to relationships. Basically, people trying to guilt people into staying in situations that they're not happy in or that they don't want to be in because of their religious beliefs or their obligation to God.
Man, that's a
well,
good one. I
first
want
of
somebody.
all, I'm gonna say when I first read it, I already knew it wasn't a Black History moment, because they gave the tithes back. That's how I know. Sure.
That part. That's what I said. That
I
is
mean,
what it said.
when I saw that part, I know it
Oh,
was Black
God.
History Month. I'm just being real. No harm, no foul to everybody else out
Let's
there
just be real.
in
She
our
kept
podcast
it real.
family. Second of all, just the way they broke down the letter to tell her how she has made her household unhappy and broken because she decided to leave her husband. And even if she said she was going to be with somebody else, all of these different things, they were so deep into what her marriage was, is what got me.
Yeah.
Then the fact of what she posts on social media. I mean, who watching her page? I mean, who the investigator? Then she showed, I don't know if it was the deacon or the pastor that was all, every time she did something, he was either commenting or he was on the live. He was there watching once again. And then in the end, they try to tell her, we're putting you out because we feel like you, in other words, basically, the Lord need to work on you. And when you get better with the Lord, we'll revisit this and might let you come back to the church. Well, the church is where the sick people come. The church is where you're supposed to be helping people find their way and all of these different things. And that just really threw me for a whole loop. I'm gonna be honest on me at that particular point. In there, they said even when Jesus got tired, he turned over stuff in the temple. I probably been one of them. I probably would have told something up, and they said they wouldn't have been, what would Jesus do? I would have did what Jesus did, and he told it up.
Okay.
That's my
Yes.
joke. I mean, don't get to being over. You save people. Don't be coming over here to have a joke, laugh sometime. It's okay to laugh with it.
I know, right?
That's all I'm
That's what
saying.
you get to.
Now we go a little too deep, too super spiritual. I'm just saying they were out of order. It was
Yeah.
totally out of
Well,
order.
out of order.
It sounded cultish to me. You wanted to rule the dynamics, and then the fact you want to not let me give you your money back. And then let
Yeah.
me tell you because you won't do it this way. And this is basically you need to be going before us to talk about this. It was too much. That is not, if that's how it's gonna be, I just want to be a believer in Christ. I'm a believer in Christ. Because Christianity, the Christians, some of y'all is out of order. And I'm not hollering at y'all on here. I'm just talking about over there at this prophecy, whatever the temple was over there. Them folks over there.
Yeah.
Holla at some of these ones in Texarkana too.
Huh? What did you say, Cook?
I said holla at some of these ones in Texarkana too. They wasn't just at that church. It's happening in a lot of places.
Baby.
Yeah. Hey, what you think, Cookie?
As far as that letter went in that post, y'all, I told y'all in the group message. Listen, I have actually experienced something like that. I ain't getting them no money and they ain't give back. They kept all my coins. They ain't refund me nothing. They ain't give me nothing back at all. And then want to know why I wasn't still sending my tithes to church when I wasn't coming. But that's neither here nor there. But I mean, I have actually experienced that. And I didn't know why. I don't know. For me, I feel like church people a lot of times are about appearances. And that's what we do in society, is what it looks like on the outside. And I've said this, I tell my kids all the time, I don't care how expensive the wrapping paper is that you wrap shit up in and how nice the bow is that you put on this shit on the inside. And so I feel like sometimes they get on their nice church clothes and go sit on the front row and feel high and holy. And they forget that they have flaws too. And so it's like when it's a flaw that I can see or something that I can point out or something I can pinpoint and put my finger on, let me go talk about you and all the bad stuff you've done, but I forget what I've done. And so the experience I had, I think I've shared it here, is when I got pregnant and they were like, you can't do, you can't play the piano no more. You can't sing on the choir. You can't usher. We don't want you to hold no positions. They took all my positions at the church and they told me that they didn't tell me. They had a church meeting without me and said that I was not the image that the church wanted to portray. I was an unmarried single mom. Wow. So that's not what they wanted people to see. So they took all my titles from me. Okay, cool. I kept going to church, whatever. Had my baby. Stayed out the 6 weeks or however long you supposed to stay out. Baby, that first Sunday I was back at church. They want to know when I was coming back. Like, when you going to be able to play again? When you going to be able to do this again? But they didn't want this pregnant, unmarried woman sitting up here playing the piano. But that's how so many people get lost in dealing with these red flags because they worried about what somebody is going to say or have to, what they're going to have to face when these things come out. So I think that lady with that letter was just trying to kind of stay under the radar because she sounded like she had been doing some other stuff. She was trying to find her happiness, but she was worried about what the church gonna say about it. And y'all seen what the church said about it. And it just took storm on social media.
And I feel like a woman wrote it the way it was so sensitively written.
They tried to Claudette Colvin you.
Say what?
Black History Fact. Claudette Colvin, Black History Fact. Claudette Colvin was a young Black girl that was on the bus and she was 15 years old and she refused to give up her seat. She did it like 9 months before the road.
Right.
But the civil rights leaders didn't want to back her and use her for the movement because she was an unwed pregnant teenager. But she was one of the 5 people that was included in the official lawsuit and she won the case. So she actually did, and Rosa Parks even talked trash about her. She was saying that, they would have used her. The media would have ate her alive. That's why we couldn't support or something like that. But I'm just saying they tried to Claudette Colvin you. I will say this though. I don't like, to me, it seemed, I don't like when people try to, like I said, use religion to push their own narrative or like scripture bullies, trying to bully people with the different scriptures because they're twisting it in their own way or their own direction. And to me, it seems as if the members of that church were maybe more cool or maybe more friends with the husband and was listening to him and getting his side of the story. Because it was, I think it was too much in the letter to me that didn't just come from social media posts. It came from somebody talking, pushing their narrative and their agenda, hint, hint, Kanye West, and influencing the masses, or in that situation, the people, the congregation of their church, hint, hint, Kanye West.
Miss Teresa, I want to tell Miss Teresa, I love her. She just done pulled on my heartstring. I'm just reading more comments. Oh, Teresa, Cookie,
somebody take this one.
Relate to you, Miss Cookie. Girl, you see the rest of the comment.
All right.
DJ?
So many people have woke up dead because of the guilt religion cannot, God can do. Your pastor is not always capable of counseling when things too many things. Churches should walk hand in hand with true counseling professionals and refer. We need to stop being
I know that.
I think she was probably typing
Liars. They
something.
need to stop
liars,
being liars,
period.
period.
They made me stand before the church and apologize at 15. I thought God hated me for years.
Mm.
And at 15, you still learning so much stuff. So a lot of what you know by that point is what somebody has told you. And it's not like from life experiences or things that you've gained on your own. And definitely, I think that it's really important to church people are some of the biggest leaders in the community, and they need to be straightforward with the things that they're saying. And then we, as people that have experienced this, people that have been part of this, need to be open books for kids that might be going through something like this. Be a resource to them and talk to them. I think that's, yes, Miss Teresa, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's because I tell anybody in a minute, you want to do marriage counseling before you get married. I don't recommend necessarily going straight to a pastor because some of them don't have that capability. You go to someone that's a professional. I mean, yes, we all know how to use a toilet, but then only the plumber really knows the mechanics behind it. So pastors are great. I love God. I go to church every Sunday, but yeah, they're not my first line when it comes to dealing with things that's outside of their realm. They're going to teach you the Bible way, but then sometimes we just need another way of dealing with it because even with the situation with this letter, you have to see who you're dealing with. If you're reading, the Bible says, beware of wolves in sheep clothing. If we have the discernment and we're spending time in her word, man, they was totally out of line. I would have been gladly, I would have been glad for them to tell me to leave, baby, if I wasn't gone before y'all even sent the letter. So they was just totally out of line.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that's the thing, that whole piece about using, the church for counselors, it can work if they're done their work and they have that skill set. The thing is, a lot of people take scripture out of line. I think the Bible is ample. I think it works for that, but you got to understand that there's more than just staying in a relationship. Does God hate divorce? Absolutely, but I think he hates more than he hates divorce. He hates people getting mistreated. So if you that's the covenant is more than just, hey, we're married. The covenant is how you treat each other, that you take care of each other, that you respect each other, that you honor each other. So the covenant is already broke when you're doing all those things right there. So to try to say that, use that one verse that God hates divorce as if that's the be all end all of understanding to marriage, that shows that the those people that teach that in the church are ill-equipped to handle those situations.
And sometimes you don't need to go to your past. If they know you, I don't care if it's the professional counselor or the pastor. If they know you or your husband, the man you gonna marry, it's a no. You go to somebody that don't know neither one of you, because some people, that's how people be biased and they try to dissect it from that angle. Now we going over here to salad and we don't even know salad.
Yeah. Man. What you got, James? We got one more before we start.
Let's move on. Okay. So let's talk. Yeah, let's transition.
It's too early.
Right. Okay, so we're talking about breaking up. We're talking about when one person over it and the other person ain't. I want to know, now we're going to get a little messy. I want to know, what are your personal rules to the panel and to the people watching? I want y'all to comment. What are your rules about moving on when one person over the relationship and the other person not? So, like, let's say, you guys sign your divorce papers on March 1st. On March 2nd, the person that you just divorced, they post on Facebook, relationship update status, engaged. How y'all feel about it? Let's go.
I'm going first. Okay, so if
I'm
the person,
too soon, if there's a such thing as too soon when the relationship over, but when it's really only over for one person, what y'all think? What you got, Cook?
Nah, if I'm the person that's over it, I don't care when we sign the paper. It ain't gotta be the next day. It could be 5 minutes later. If I go with somebody else, I go with somebody else. If we done, we is done. Now, if
Exactly.
I'm the person that's not over it, I have vested my work, my time, whatever, in trying to repair it before it ended. So then once it ended, it's done ended. If we ain't in it no more, once you disconnect, you gotta disconnect. You can't halfway hold on. That's the straddling the fence type stuff. Either
Yeah.
you in it or you ain't, is the way that I feel about it. Because you can't still be holding on to Cookie and Cookie don't go with you no more, or ain't married to you or whatever else no more. Because Cookie don't went on living her own life doing something else.
Ooh, you hit it
Everybody
heavy.
got
Well, it happened to me. I can say that it happened to me. I wasn't the one ready to let go. My husband was, and I just had to deal. I honestly had to deal with it. But what I did do, I shot my shot again before the divorce was final. I made myself vulnerable. I told him how I felt. He didn't accept it at that point. I literally had to move on. It was what it was. But I did have to say that I went down fighting and or put it all out there on the plate. I don't feel guilty about none of it. But then in hindsight, hey, I wasn't the woman you want, so I became the woman you can't have. Because baby, you regretted the decision that you made. So in the end, I still felt like I won. So I'm still happy.
Is he watching?
I hope you're not watching the show. You beat me too.
Hey, I'll say it's difficult,
Blooded, man.
it's not easy. The right thing is or the principal thing is when it's over, and we're not talking about what's easy, we're talking about what's necessary. And
Yeah.
we got to move on, man. Whether it was a good breakup, where y'all, I say good breakup, where y'all agreed like, hey, this is not good, or the other one was kicking and screaming all the way to the end. The person, you don't have that requirement to say like, hey, I'm going to give you 6 months before I start dating again. Now I think what you can do is it's your choice. You can understand that he's not over or she's not over it, and you can say, hey, I'm not going to just be out like look at me, look at me, look at me kind of thing. But that's even your prerogative. That's your choice. When it's over, man, we just got to be adult about it and say like, hey,
I hear what you're saying, but I don't think everybody keeping it real because you can
Well,
be the
hold up,
person.
Jane. Well, then let me jump in here. Just let me jump. Me.
Okay.
Okay, let's just keep it real. And me and Gerard are really, we talk about a lot. I found myself after divorce, after being a divorce, still being in a circumference of my ex-husband for almost 3 years after the divorce. Now,
What you mean?
basically, I could go to the store with her. He didn't live far from me after I moved away.
Okay.
I'm just saying. So that's just keeping it real because at the end of the day, I loved my husband, and it was just religious. Religion is what really took just down the middle, and that's just the truth. So there was a part of the man that I loved, but there was a part that just wasn't going to meet where I really needed him, because like we were talking about needing and wanting, this is a part of who I am. And so there's a part of you that just said, hey, is this how it ends, where no, there's not another woman involved or another man, but we're now dealing with a different obstacle that most people don't talk about, because we don't talk about these parts when you get in marriage and it comes to really your faith base. And your faith base can really make or break a relationship, and we don't talk about those things. We kind of just sweep them under the rug, and then most of the time, most people that do, you get people that have been divorced and separated, but they still go and hang out with their ex-husbands or their ex-wives. We don't talk about that, and I'm talking about from a Christian standpoint. And so, if to be honest, it's the fact of that it's not going to work, but you still got that hope that there's something that still could be there. But then if the flesh overrides the faith base of me, then we still not gonna get nowhere, because I can get tampered with all day long, and the fulfillment can be there sexually, but then I'll still go back to a depleted place even after that. So then you have to finally get to a place that you say, you know what, even though I love them, I know I still have to go on with my life, because we're not going to meet in this area that really is important to make a choice to make it work together. And that doesn't mean that he was a bad person or he wasn't the right person or I was the wrong. It just means that we didn't meet where we needed to make it work. And if another woman comes along and can do that, Hey, I'm not looking upside of her saying I made him better for her or he made me better for somebody else. We just did not go together and fit where we needed to make it work. So guess what? Then we just go.
Well, let's talk about perception though. Like, okay, so like, because right now we're talking about like the way the person personally feels. But I guess to me, it's like when is the right time? I'm asking like when is the right time to move on? Because like let's keep it funky. Like if you were in a marriage and you and all your friends, family, all your social media followers, blah 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 blah, everybody know that you just got divorced, and then a week later you in a whole new relationship. We know some people gonna talk. I mean, what's that lady name that was on? She was on a reality show, and her husband passed away from cancer. And right, like a little bit,
Nene Lee.
and people was dragging her like last time I checked, it said she stayed with that man till he died. She fulfilled her obligation. But people looked at her wrong and they looked at her bad, or people would look at let's be honest, man. Like if a woman is in a relation, not even married. If you're in a relationship with a dude and everybody know it, and then y'all break up, and a week later you with some new dude, people gonna call you a hoe. So I guess what I'm asking is like when people have that type of mentality of perception, when is it okay for somebody to be able to move on?
I get what you're saying, but I think my answer is the same though. People gonna talk no matter what you do. My thing is if
some people care. Some people care about that talk,
right?
Like, because we can act like we strong-minded and strong-willed. We don't care what people think. But some people care what people think.
Yeah. So let me get to that point. People gonna talk. People gonna talk. My thing is, if you're gonna be so concerned about the opinions of others, man, you living your life in a way that I just think it's unhealthy. So my point is this: I would like for people to we use the word mature a lot. As we mature, we ought to be able to get past the opinion of others to the point. Not that we don't care, but to the point that it don't dictate how I move.
But that's what I'm saying. Is it healthy? Is it not healthy to take a break and take time to yourself? And
it's what's good for you.
Jumping into another relationship.
If it's good for you.
No. You're breaking the rules. Remember at the beginning of the conversation, everything is individual based. We know that, but we talking about
for me.
Your personal thing is stereotypically.
Yeah. So for me, if I was to offer some advice to people, I would be like, take your time until you know. And take your time means take your time that's good for you for that situation. I like this comment right here, and this is going to really speak to it. Teresa said this. Teresa said the truth is most relationships were over long before the separation, the disconnect happened in mine. So but hear me out though. Hear me out though. What I'm saying is, all that stuff. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but if I'm good and not and checked out and I want to move on, it's my right. It's my right to, and I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm at a point in my life where I'm secure enough in who I am. I'm mature enough in the person that I become. It don't matter what anybody says. At the end of the day, it's me, and that's the way I move, man.
Okay. What do you feel like we wasn't feeling? You said a statement earlier, James, that you don't feel like we've been 100 with the comments because honestly, I want to speak on Miss Davis' question to me. How long did it take for you to move on? Baby, it took years. I have to see this man every single day because we had a child and he would have to come pick her up and drop off. We switched her off every day for me to go to work and then I'll pick her up from work. It took a while. After we divorced, it was 2 years before I went on my first date. It was hard for me to get over him because I was in love. I love my husband. Like I said, I didn't want it to end. And of course, I shot my last shot before we even got the divorce to make sure that, hey, I tried everything in my power to make it work. But since that's what you chose, I can't beg you no more. I'm not going to beg you. I'm just going to put it all out there, be vulnerable. You didn't take it. I got to give you what you want because it's going to be unhealthy for me to keep trying to hold on. But I wasn't over him just because the relationship was over and the divorce was final. No, I had to deal with that for years after. That's when my counseling came in and me trying to learn and find who I am without him because I did devote my life to that man. But for as what other people may say, I'm mature. Yeah, sometimes words do hurt, and sometimes it'll let you bother me. But like Flex said, it's not gonna dictate how I move. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna bother me sometimes, but it ain't gonna dictate how I move. If I want to move on, but I will say before I move on to somebody else, I'm gonna be healed. I feel like you need to be healed before you move on. But hey, if you choose to go out there and bring your mess to somebody else and they accept it, let them. Do you?
So, I will say this. I think, speaking of rules, I think that it's important when two people break up, if one person's not fully over it, or there's some type of issue that can come about, I think it's important that when you're creating that separation, that you don't just do it in the physical sense, you also do it in the digital sense, and I'm referring to like social media. I don't think it's a good idea for people that are still wanting to be with somebody else to be friends on social media, because you're gonna find yourself over analyzing their comments, their posts, trying to see what they're doing, and it could potentially turn into some form of like cyber stalking to a standpoint, because you constantly trying to see what they doing and what they got going on. And sometimes you got to remember that you can't control other people, and you got to do what's best for your peace of mind and your mental. So sometimes that comes with just disconnecting from that person in the physical world and in the digital world.
But you should be doing that anyway. So I mean,
should be doing what?
You should be disconnected.
No, because some people feel like, why I got to do that? Like, we still, because they want to try to prove to other people that it's not a big deal, that they not tripping, that they got it together, they mature, they that, blah, 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 blah. But you can't worry about, like you said earlier, you can't worry about other people. You got to do what's best for you. And if what's best for you is disconnecting from that person as a friend, then you got to do that, even though you might not want to, because you don't want to find yourself trying to see what they doing, who they with, what they watching, what they got going on, and over analyzing everything that they doing. And then the next thing you know, you up in their inbox talking trash and whatever the case may be. So you just gotta, I think it's important to anybody out there that's dealing with something like this. If Kanye West were watching this, I would tell him that you need to protect your peace. And what he's doing right now is not protecting his peace, because he's trying to control the situation. And you got to realize, no matter what he's doing, if that woman don't want to be with him, there ain't no amount. It don't matter how many millions of people love him. It don't matter how many fans and stands he got to support him. No matter what he put out there to the media, if that woman don't want to be with him, she's not going to be with him. And he's not doing anything but hurting himself. And because later on, all the things that he's doing can come back to haunt him when it comes time for him to be in his kid's life from a legal standpoint. Because just to be real about it, she could say right now, like with him talking about beating the dude up in a rap song and him not liking the dude, if somebody that's a Kanye stan went out there and hurt that man, guess who that's going to come back on? Just like back in the day when and they blame rap music, they Kanye. He going to be held liable. So you got to be careful what you do and realize you can't control somebody who don't want to be with you.
That's it, bro. It's hard, but it's the truth, though. Yeah. Here you go, I see.
Now, how you said Mia?
Yeah.
Mia, you're saying both can be Christians and still be unequally yoked. And then I think there was a Sharon that came back with unequally yoked. Well, I don't know if we, I don't know how to word it. I mean, I don't really know how to, let me see. Yes, I do. We say that so like freely. And then I see one that says unequally yoked, but then I said, both you can be a Christian and still unequally yoked. Unequally yoked to me is two people, one person believes and the other one don't. If we're Christians and we believe in the same thing, then where does the unequally yoked come in? Because we read the same Bible, we doing all of this. We get to a place that we just have been taught either women ain't gonna do this, everything that we divided down the middle. Because if we're Christians, then somewhere we ought to be able to make this thing work. So help me with the unequally yoked as Christians.
I'll say this on that, because I feel the same way about that. It's what people consider to be authoritative. And okay, if the scripture has this teaching about a certain situation or scenario, and the other person is not, the scriptures are not their authoritative thinking or way of believing, then they can be unequally yoked, even though they proclaim to both believe in Christ. Sometimes it's the way that they're understanding things can make them unequally yoked. That's why I believe.
Yeah, so I just want to know, because I'm just saying in there it says that the wife, even if the wife was saved and the husband wasn't, she can lead him to the Lord. If the husband was saved
Yes.
and the wife wasn't, then she can bring him to. So that's when I've just, when they throw it
Yeah.
out, I'm just saying, make it. We were taught things, but I'm just saying when you actually see it put in front of you and you
Yeah.
see it two different ways, it makes you really get out here and want to have a dialogue about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Well, cool. Miss Cuckoo, you got to bounce, so we'll go ahead and jump to the commercial. Deb, you want to take us there?
All right, hit the commercial and I'll let them know about it once we're done. Go on and play.
Your success ain't gonna happen overnight. It may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may even take 10 years. For some people, it might take even longer than that. But one thing I do know, as long as you keep fighting and staying consistent, you will make it. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you gonna make it? Creed. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah. You gotta be willing to go out and get it. You gotta dive in it, go and get it. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah. You got
Hey, as you see, MC Fresh had a fresh commercial, and we want to thank him for the support to the Floor is Yours podcast. If you are in the North Texas area, North Dallas area, come by and see him and let him know that the Floor is Yours podcast sent you by. He gonna get you hooked up, faded, looking like you ready to go find that mate that we've been talking about. But we're gonna move on to the next session so we can wrap up this show. And we have the love note. The love note is not a direct representation of the Floor is Yours podcast. It is the opinions and views of IC herself. But we
Now wait
support
a
her.
minute,
So
is that
come
written
for
in the
her.
script? No.
It is for IC herself, and we stand behind her. So try us if you want to. Go ahead, IC. What's
I
your
just
love
got
note?
thrown off. I don't even think I want to say nothing, but I don't know. But anyway, whatever your thought process is pertaining to your relationships and your values of the relationships and even your departure of the relationship, we're not going to take away we're going to respect the way you would choose to handle that, because truth is all of us are different. All of us are going to handle things differently, and we also have a right to feel the way we are allowed to feel in these situations. The truth about relationships and love is hard. It's difficult. One minute it can be warm and fuzzy, and the next minute, baby, you ready to chunk something, you ready to leave, you ready to exit, and all of that. And at the end of the day, sometimes you can feel like you wasted a lot of time because you've put the investment in wanting to have this relationship work. And the truth is, some of them will last forever. That don't mean that they didn't have bumps and roads. I mean, bumps along the way when they were traveling down this journey to, have a relationship, love, marriage, and all of these different things. But the foxes do come in, and that means little things that come in to test to see if we're gonna make it through, the journey of forever. Some people make it to forever, and some people don't. In the event that you don't make it to forever with the person you thought you were going to make it with, just know that time will heal all wounds. You will find you again and you will move forward. And if it is God's will and your desire to have a relationship again in marriage, it will come in the time frame that you choose to set on it and God's timing allows it. Let's just see it like that. So there isn't a timeline to how you heal and how fast you move on. It's really a personal choice. But I will say, take out the time that if in the event that these things come up, you like they say, protect your peace, but free your mind. Start with your mind, release your heart. Don't let the emotions overtake you. And just know that in the end, do what is best for your children if you have them. And if you don't, do what's best for you. Because we only get one, life to live. Now we get a bunch of chances to do things differently, but we only get one life to live. And at the end of that road, I pray that, and it is my heart's desire, that you find the fulfillment that you want in a marriage or a relationship or simply by yourself. But either way, there is no right or wrong. It's simply a choice on what you choose and what you desire. So my love note tonight is just simply do what is best for you, that is healthy for you in the purest form. And at the end of the day, if it's gonna work, it works, and if it doesn't, it does. But be resilient enough to face it and to move forward, and let that be what it's gonna be. All right, love y'all.
All right, there you have it.
I'll take that. I want to pass the collection plate, man.
Just cash out me, cash out me, cash out me.
Cash out. All right.
All right, as we get ready to wrap up the show, any other parting thoughts? Anyone want to leave on a good note? Leave a note for the people. King James, you can start if you do. We can't hear you.
First, I want to give a shout out to my goddaughter, my little baby burrito, Skylar. She was in the national cheer competition that was in Dallas this weekend, and her team placed third in nationals, so that put them in the winner's circle. So congratulations to her and her squad.
Yes.
And then shout out to my niece, Brooklyn, aka Big Mac. She's in a dance crew, and her dance crew had a competition this weekend also, and they actually won first place, grand champion. Her dance crew, they work hard, and when those lights come on, they go even harder. So congratulations to Brooklyn Michelle Taylor, my niece. I love them very much. So shout out to them both.
All right. All right, Flex, you have any parting thoughts or words?
Yeah. Like James, it happens, man. Well, I see just said in her love note, it's difficult, but again, we're not talking about what's easy to do. We're talking about what's necessary if you want to be the best version of yourself, especially when you got kids involved. The kids are going to be looking up to you for direction, for just to be that voice of reason through a difficult time for them as well when they're seeing mom and dad separate. So the worst thing we can do is to show ourselves as immature, and especially when we begin to use the kids as a way to manipulate the situation. So again, at the end of the day, it's tough. I get it, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to be with somebody that don't want to be with me. At the end of the day, I don't care why we are breaking up. If you say that you don't want me, then there's nothing I can do. All I'm doing is prolonging what was probably going to be a long, hurtful road. And my thing is, what I see says this word a lot: move. It ain't easy, but move. And the thing is, healing is your own responsibility. Surround yourself around people that got your best interests in mind, and people that'll tell you the hard truth. You know, let's be honest. There's a lot of people out there that's giving advice and they're ill-equipped. They don't know what the hell to tell anybody about those type of situations, and they can be heartless, they can be callous, and they can be wrong, flat out wrong. My thing is, you got to make sure that you're good in a good mental space. You know, we look at the news almost regularly, and we're seeing, which is almost always the men doing something to hurt the woman, and then, of course, it happens the other way around. But my thing is, a relationship that is forced is not a genuine loving relationship. I need somebody with me that's going to freely love me. And if that's not what you want, I got to respect you for being open and honest and telling me and not stringing me along. Right. And at the end of the day, I just hope that people can grow from it, be healthy, and be better in their next relationship.
And just always know this: you will never be good for the wrong person.
True that. All right, all I have to say is communicate, comprehend, understand, and do what's best for your kids. Take yourself out of it, take the pain away for the moment, and see how the kids can benefit from how you're dealing with their other parent. All right, let's just basically grow up and be mature adults. All right. That's all I have to say on that. So as we wrap up the show again, we want to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you so much for the comments. Miss Teresa Graham, this is my first time seeing you on, so I appreciate you. Thank you. Please come back again. Miss Davis, Miss Hawkins, all of the commenters tonight, we thank you so much for engaging with us. Like I said, go like us on our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and which one am I missing?
TikTok, IG.
Yeah, all of them. Go hit subscribe and follow us on all platforms. But hey, continue this. We got one more day left of Black History Month. Make it the best Black Day as possible. All right.
Hey, no, Black History Month 365, cuz on the game.
Black History Year.
The month ends tomorrow, but we're still going to celebrate our heritage throughout the year. But but
Black history started before slavery and civil rights.
Okay. But all right, if our hearts and minds are clear, let's take this thing out and we'll see y'all next time. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Now it's my turn to tell y'all about my big bro Gerard in the podcast crew. From DJ to realist, Miss Cookie, the professor, and you can't forget about the inspiration shit. They talk about it all, got advice for us all. You'll never know how deep the talks will go. On the weekdays, the weekends, they be going live with the topics. Then they do the segment where the floor is yours. You can post your comments, you can post your statements, yeah. You can ask your questions, They can help you get your life moving in the right direction. If you need advice on marriage, advice on finance, advice on healing, advice on credit, this the podcast that you need to check out. Go ahead and tune in, you'll feel what I'm talking about. Baby, don't get up for this show. Yeah, baby, I'm in for this show. Here we come down to love for this show. Let me show you how I love for this show.
James, you forgot to do your dance.
James knew he was on the screen.
He didn't.
James didn't have his dance move or nothing. He was just dazed in.
Oh no, I don't do no dancing. I'm a gangster.